vinyl friends and vinyl community. It's Brian from Brian's Vinyl Records, and it is time to show you my April haul. A little late getting this in, but that's okay. You remember the time I told you that in 2022 I was going to try and slow down purchasing and buy less albums? I failed hard this month. Hard. So let's get into it. We're going to start with Record Store Day because, hey, that was the big thing in April. And I haven't shown my Record Store Day stuff yet because I knew I would be doing it for this video. So let's start there. I did two places in Record Store Day this year. I went to a place called Down the Valley, which is where I buy a lot of my vinyl records. Local store. I always spend Record Store Day there. And got there in line and was shocked at the length of line. I mean, it wasn't huge because the store I go to is a smaller store. They don't get as many items in. And so I'm able to get most of what I want from that store anyway. So I tend to go there versus their main store, which has a massive line. I got there, and typically when I get there, I'm third, fourth in line behind a father and a son who are always the first in line, and then sometimes his brother and sometimes another guy will get there first. This year I got there same time as I normally do, actually a little earlier than I normally do, and there was a larger line, and I was 15th in line. Not bad, but quite a surprise actually. The line got pretty big. It went all the way down the square. Never seen that before on a Record Store Day at that location, but a lot of it had to do with the Taylor Swift 7-inch single and a lot of her fans coming out to get that. The group that made it first in line this year had been there since 2 a.m., which at that location is unheard of. And they did get their Taylor Swift album, so awesome for them, happy for them. But yeah, a lot of people waiting for that album. I got to Record Store Day. I got to my store at about 6:05 in the morning, which is typically a pretty good time to get there. They open at 9 o'clock, so it's about a 3-hour wait. But anyway, I got in there and looked at the list. They sent out a list of what's going to be at which location. They have 3 locations in all. And saw that everything but one album was going to be at that location. So that's fine. I was able to pick up everything I wanted. I got Alice in Chains, We Die Young. This is the 3-song EP that they put out before the Facelift album. It has 2 songs from Facelift, We Die Young and It Ain't Like That. And then it has Killing Yourself, which is only available on this EP. It came out as a promo only, I believe, at the time, and so it's very difficult to find on vinyl, and they decided to press this for Record Store Day, which is awesome. It sounds fantastic. So happy to have finally picked that up and added it to my collection. This was really cool. I was looking forward to this and happy I picked this up. This is Kirk Hammett's Portals. It is I think a 4-song EP that he put together, all instrumental. It's fantastic. Very good. If you're expecting Metallica, it's not really that kind of music, but it is. There are some good, heavy, hard songs on here and some really beautiful instrumentals on here. It is awesome. I hope that he decides to do more of this because I think this is really fun and I really enjoyed it. It comes on a cool blue vinyl with the custom logo. Not sure I like the custom logo. You know, it says his name and Portals in there, but you have a hard time reading it. But it is what it is. Great album, though. I picked up The Offspring's Greatest Hits. This is a fantastic compilation. I am super happy with this. It has, you know, pretty much everything you'd want on here. A couple songs that I really like that aren't on here, but they weren't really hits for them, so it makes sense that they're not on here. But a great compilation, and this one I believe also comes on a blue vinyl. Yep, and sounds great. Super happy with that one as well. And the last one I picked up at Down the Valley was the one I wanted the most. This was my #1 want to get at Record Store Day this year, and that is Jazz Sabbath Volume 2. If you haven't heard Jazz Sabbath Volume 1, basically it is a jazz group that puts out Black Sabbath songs, and they have a whole facade that a whole backstory that Black Sabbath found their demos, stole their songs, and became famous on them. It's fantastic. The first one is awesome. Loved it. Picked it up on Record Store Day release as well, which is a mono release. There's a stereo release that was widely released on the same day that you can get pretty easily from your record store. The mono release is only for Record Store Day, and this one as well. And they always include a DVD in here with kind of like a documentary to go with their kind of backstory. Pretty fun stuff. Highly recommended. This is awesome. Sounds great on this really cool kind of bone white vinyl. And yeah, just awesome. So that's what I got at Down the Valley. After Down the Valley, the guy I was out with, we decided to take a trip down to Mankato, Minnesota, which is about an hour and a half away from the Twin Cities. And from my house, it's about an hour. From the store we were at, it's an hour and a half. And it's where I went to college, so I know the town a little well. And this is a really neat little, well, it's not little anymore, but it was a little record shop that I visited a couple years back. Found some really cool stuff. They expanded. They basically doubled the size of their store, and they had record store days. So I decided to take a trip down there and see what they had. And oh my gosh, these guys had everything. Like, we got there at 11 o'clock. They opened the doors, I believe, at 8 a.m. in the morning. And 11 o'clock when we got there, they still had everything. And the place was packed. And it was really cool. So they order a ton of stuff. And they told us on the way out that if there was anything that we thought of or that we didn't see, to let them know, because they will order what people send back. So not only do they order a ton for Record Store Day themselves, but then when people start sending back the records that didn't sell to get some of their money back, they buy those and bring them into the store. Crazy if you ask me, but they had everything there. And we spent at least an hour and a half just looking through that store. And the one I wanted when I was down there to pick up was the one I was missing, and that was this Night Ranger, Somewhere in California. This is a 2011 studio album by Night Ranger, one that I didn't even know existed, to be honest with you. And I think a lot of Night Ranger fans or a lot of casual Night Ranger fans probably didn't know existed either. I really enjoy Night Ranger, so I was happy to pick this up, and this is a really good album. I was super happy with the songs on here and the quality, and so happy to have found this, and just what a great time at the store. This is a blue vinyl again, a lot of blue vinyl this year, and gatefold, just great sounding, great album. While I was down there, I also found a couple things that I wanted to pick up as well. The first one being this one here. This is Kiss Carnival of Souls. This is the album that was put out right after the reunion happened. So they were in the middle of recording this album when they did the MTV Unplugged, and they reunited with Ace and Peter at that show, and then decided to do a reunion kind of show tour. And so the band that existed with Eric Singer and Bruce Kulick on guitar, those two kind of got cast aside while the reunion was going on. Bruce never came back. Eric, I believe, is with them still to this day. But yeah, so this was what they were working on. So it's kind of, they took what they had recorded and made an album out of it. They call it the Final Sessions because of that. And it's, different. It's got a grunge-like feel. It was 1996, I believe. So they were going that direction as the music was going. And it's different from most anything Kiss has done before. But it's really fun, and I really enjoy it. So this is one I've been looking for forever. And nobody ever has it in stock. Not Amazon, not my locals, nowhere. They had 3 copies there, and I was super happy, and I was able to pick this up and add this to my collection. It is the only press, I believe, they did of this on vinyl, or maybe it's the only reissue they've done of it so far, 2014 or something like that. But super happy to have this on vinyl. Okay, and the last one, and the reason we went to Mankato was because they were having a clearance event. So a lot of their brand new records were being clearanced out in the basement between 10 and 80% off. Looked through a lot of them. They had some really good stuff there, but nothing I was looking for in particular. But I did spot this album. This is from Record Store Day last year, and one that I didn't find. And so super excited because it was marked down to $10. And I picked it up. This is Kip Moore's live from Grimmy's in Nashville. And it's just a live short set. I think there's 5 or 6 songs on here, but really good, great sound, and super happy to have found this and add it to my collection because I did miss it last year and all that. So that was my Record Store Day. Now let's get to the rest of it because there is quite a lot to go through here. We'll start with new releases and reissues. First up, this one I think came out in February if I'm not mistaken, but I hadn't gotten it yet, and then I found it for a pretty good price, and decided to pick it up. This is my wife's like favorite artist as she was growing up in the 80s and 90s. And so I figured, why not? She doesn't really keep up with her that much, but I've picked up the new Debbie Gibson. The Body Remembers is the album title. Custom labels, pretty cool. And I haven't listened to this yet. I want to have a time where we have availability to sit down and just listen to it together. Like I said, it's her favorite artist from when she was a kid. And so I thought, I've heard really good things about it. So I thought I'd pick it up and see if she liked that at all. So Debbie Gibson. I picked this up at Target the other day. Saw this sitting there and thought, the heck, I've heard really good things about it as well. This is The Police. It's like a greatest hits right there. And not a huge Police guy. I like them and I like some of their hits, so I thought this would be perfect for me to add to the collection because I'm a big fan of greatest hits for bands that I don't want to collect the whole catalog of, and I have a ton of greatest hits albums. Went through them recently. I think I'm up to like 126 or something like that, greatest hits albums. So yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, heard really good things. It's the Abbey Road Half-Speed Master. I have not had a bad Half-Speed Master yet. I know there are some people who just don't like them. I have liked everyone I've had, so I'm looking forward to listening to this and really paying attention to how good this sounds. So happy to add that to my collection. Brand new album from Miranda Lambert came out at the end of April. This is Palomino. Fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Again, her own custom labels, which I think are cool. And really enjoyed this album. I think she's fantastic. If you picked up the album that she put out last year, which was kind of like a campfire album where they sat around the fire and played a bunch of songs, it was her and John Randall and another gentleman. And I can't think of the name of the album now, but it's all recorded on just low tech, basically them sitting around a campfire. I mean, it sounds all right. Wasn't really my bag of tea, but a lot of the songs that they played on that album made it onto this album too in full studio. So they sound a lot better to my ears anyway. But yes, big Miranda Lambert fan, and this is great. So real happy to have that. Blackberry Smoke. All right, so this one came out for Record Store Day Black Friday, and there was a problem. The side A was cut off center, and some of them just had a bad pressing where they skipped all over the place. I bought 2 copies, one for myself and one for a buddy of mine, and both of them were cut off center. Now I was able to kind of dig the hole a little differently so I could put it on the platter and play it properly without it being too wobbly. But they announced they were going to repress them, and who knows how long that's going to take. But in the meantime, they had already ordered the wide release of this album, and so I picked it up from their web store, which is the only place I think you can get it right now, and really cool. It's this is the Black Friday one, so it's on this red splatter. The new one, the new pressing, comes on this whiskey kind of smoke vinyl. So this one cut perfectly, plays great, super happy with it, and just love having it in my collection. So grab the wrong one. This one is awesome. Eric Clapton, The Lady in the Balcony, Lockdown Sessions. So if you haven't heard about this, this is new. This is, Clapton had planned this whole big show that was going to take place at one of the big places in England. And it was going to be an acoustic show where they sat there and they played kind of like an Unplugged 2. Well, that got canceled due to COVID. So during COVID, after things got locked down real heavy, he got all of his musicians together and they rented a mansion, I guess, in England, and they decided to cut this album, and it is fantastic. It is like an Unplugged, basically, 2 with no real audience. It's called The Lady in the Balcony because at one point in the album, and if you get the CD, it comes with a Blu-ray DVD as well, I believe, if you get the deluxe CD package. It comes with a Blu-ray as well, and you can watch the video of the whole show. And at one point in the video, there are people who go through this place. I guess it's a common toured place as they're recording. And one lady stops up in the balcony and listens in, and at the end of the song he says, this one is dedicated to the lady in the balcony. and so that's why it got its name. But it's absolutely fantastic. It comes on yellow vinyl. This was released on vinyl first in the UK, and then it finally came out here in April for the US, and I was snatched up a copy as quick as I could because it is fantastic. Sound quality is awesome, and the show is just really good. This is an artist that is new to me. I've seen a lot of people posting about her, and so I decided to check her out. I really, really enjoyed the music, and then I found out a deluxe version of her first album was coming out, and it came out in April, and I had to grab it, and that is Morgan Wade. This is Reckless Deluxe Edition. Fantastic. I can't say enough about it. Really, really good country music. She's got a really nice grit to her voice, and her songwriting is absolutely fantastic. So if you haven't heard of her, I highly recommend checking her out. Morgan Wade. The song Wilder Days is fantastic, and I just really, really can't say enough. It's a great, great album. Highly recommend it. Again, her own custom label, awesome, and really good. Really, really good. Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs. Now, these guys put out an album as just the Dirty Knobs a couple years, maybe a year and a half ago, and it was one of my favorites from that year, and just really good. This is their second album that they put out called External Combustion, and this time they had Mike Campbell put his name on here, I think just to kind of get recognized that this is Mike Campbell from the Heartbreakers. If you have not heard Mike Campbell's or the Dirty Knobs before, he sounds so incredibly like Tom Petty. It is unbelievable when you're listening to him. You think you're listening to a Heartbreakers album with Tom Petty singing, and it's not. It's Mike Campbell singing, and it's incredible. So now you know why he wrote so well for Tom Petty and with Tom Petty, is because their voices are so much the same that he could sing the ranges that Tom was in and knew if a song he was writing would fit him or if he needed to pass it along to someone else, which he did on a lot of songs. So Tom always got right of first refusal from Mike's compositions, and you can tell why. But this is another really, really good album. The first album is phenomenal. This is pretty close. Really good. This one is just a black vinyl. Great stuff. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. Willie Nelson comes back with his 72nd studio album. I believe I got that right. It's I think it's his 72nd studio album. Great stuff. I listened to this morning and really enjoyed it. The quality of his last several albums, as far as sound quality goes, is phenomenal. Just phenomenal. And this is no exception to it. Really enjoyed it. Standard black vinyl for this one. Awesome. So check this out. This is called A Beautiful Time. All right, now some reissues that came out. First one I picked up, Enough's Enough. This is 7. This is a 1994 album that they put out, and really, really good album. Really good album. Probably one of their better albums. Came out on this nice green vinyl, a gatefold sleeve, and sounds fantastic. So great job on this one. Let's see, this one was done by Deadline Music. They did a fantastic job on it, so super happy with that. The Wedding Singer Volume 1 finally got another reissue. They pressed this one a few years back, and it sold out real quick, so I was super happy when they announced that they were doing this one, but it took a lot longer than they thought it would. They announced, I think, last year, and it finally was able to come out this April. Super happy with it. It's Friday music release, and it comes on white vinyl. Sounds really, really good, and this is one of my favorite movies as far as comedies go. Just a really fantastic movie, and we've always loved the soundtrack, so super happy. I got Volume 2 already, and now I got Volume 1 to go with it. This one I didn't know if I was going to pick up. I just decided on a whim to get it. This is Bob Dylan's Blonde on Blonde. This is the stereo pressing. So they've reissued this a few times, but almost always on a mono press. Now this is a stereo press that they've reissued. Sounds fantastic. Columbia 2i label. Really good. Happy to add that to my collection as well. Danger, Danger. This is an album that when I was in my hair metal phase or hair band phase, I didn't know this one, to be honest. I didn't know who these guys were, didn't get into them. Then a lot of people have posted this album in the past. It's super hard to get as far as original goes, and super expensive to get if you want an original. And Music on Vinyl announced that they were getting this album, and they were pressing, I think it was limited to 1,000 copies on here. My copy is number, where is it? 718. Comes on this really cool orange kind of burst vinyl, really nice smoky orange vinyl. And this came out at the end of March, I believe, but it was really hard to get a hold of. Like you couldn't get them. There were places like Amazon and Walmart and everything else that were canceling people's pre-orders because they couldn't get their hands on the album. And I had asked my local to order me a copy if he could, and they did. And when it came out, they had no word on it coming. It didn't show up. Then suddenly I got a text from the manager with a picture of the album saying it's here. I think it was a week or two after it was supposed to come out. It finally arrived at the store, and super excited that they got this for me. It's a great album, and yeah, one of my top albums that I've discovered, I guess, from those days. All right, now let's get into some soundtracks that I picked up. Let's start with one of my Grail soundtracks. Super excited about. Picked this one up at the end of March, and it arrived just at the beginning of April. So I don't believe I showed this on my March video. I don't think it arrived in time, but this is the Karate Kid Part 1 soundtrack. So I have Part 2 soundtrack, but I've always wanted to get Part 1 soundtrack, and I just never find it, especially here in the States. It was never for sale. And if it was ridiculously expensive. I was watching an online auction, and the guy mentioned he was going to do a soundtrack day for his auction. And I asked, do you have the Karate Kid Part 1? And he said, yes, I have 1, 2, and 3 available. They will be part of it. So I went to the auction, and he goes, all right, since I know you want this, I'm just going to start with this. And if you want it, it's yours. And I paid $30 for it, which is a lot for a soundtrack, but this one's hard to find, and it's a lot more expensive typically to purchase. So super glad to get it. It's in excellent shape. Casablanca label. Just super pumped to have this finally in my collection. I picked up the RSD Essentials version. So this one, they're releasing a bunch of these RSD Essentials, and this is a this is the Death Wish Death Waltz Mondo label, so same company. Fantastic cover. Love this image of Michael Myers looking kind of like behind a glass pane where it's raining. Fantastically done. I love their artwork on these things. Orange vinyl, of course, for Halloween. Really cool. Great artwork. Sounds phenomenal. Mondo does primo work when it comes to their reissues as far as art design, sound quality, and color even. They do a lot of really cool color vinyl for this. So Halloween Part 1, the original Halloween movie, super awesome. This one I picked up for my wife. She loves this type of music. This is Motown stuff. This is right here, Hitsville. It was I believe a TV series or a short, it looks like a Showtime documentary film. And this is the soundtrack to it. A lot of Motown hits. And I showed her the track list, and she said, oh, I like every one of those songs. So I had my local order a copy of this for me, and was super happy to get it for her. Found this at Target the other day and decided to grab it. This is Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack on a cool yellow vinyl and purple vinyl. Gatefold cover, Target exclusive. Super excited to play this come Halloween time. I haven't listened to it yet, but pretty excited. I also decided to pick this up. I don't know anything of this or haven't heard it before, but can't go wrong. This is the Tron Legacy soundtrack. Of course, music by Daft Punk, who did the soundtrack here. So excited to listen to that. We got a clear vinyl on one and a blue vinyl on the other. Another Target exclusive. This I'm really pumped about. This is an album that growing up in my house, my mom bought this on CD and played it all the time, and when you hear it so often, you just have good memories associated with it. Not something I typically would buy, but because I heard it so much as a kid and have so much good memories associated with it, this popped up on an online auction and I had to get it. I got into a little bit of a bidding war on it, but I still got it for less than what it goes for on median price on Discogs, so I'm super pumped about that. This is the Phantom of the Opera, Andrew Lloyd Webber. This is the 90s, I believe, version of this, and super pumped. This is beautiful. It's in great condition. The vinyl sounds awesome, and it even came with like the show bill type booklet that came with it. Let's see if I can grab that out. So it had this kind of like a show bill booklet explaining the scenes. It has, I think this has the the lyric, or it's basically the whole show, dialogue and songs and everything in here, and it's just super cool. So usually you don't get this in with the albums when you purchase them, but I got lucky and this guy had the whole shebang, and I was super excited when I got it for the price I got it for, and really excited when the guy I was bidding against decided to drop out because I didn't know how much further I wanted to go up on this. But it sounds awesome. I listened to it and just flooded memories come back of listening to this. I sent my mom a picture of the album when I got it, and yeah, super excited to have her over again and just play that in the background while we hang out. Pick this up. This is awesome. Like, this is music on vinyl. Avril Lavigne's second album, I believe it is, Under My Skin. Really good album with some really killer songs on here. The song My Happy Ending was a big hit for her, and just really cool. Like, this has been in my Amazon wish list for quite some time, but as you know, music on vinyl stuff is pretty expensive. Well, I found this through a third-party seller, and I think because this is ripped here, I got a damn good price on this. I paid $12 and change for this album, brand new, still sealed, and it's in perfect condition. Just perfect condition. Music on vinyl, rare gatefold pressing for them. They usually don't do a gatefold, but super excited to pick that up. Up next, this is something that I found at my local record store. Didn't even know it existed. Saw it up there on one of their walls and decided, hey, what the heck? This is Margot Price, and this is called Live at the Hamilton. It's from 2016, November 2016 show. And like I said, I never even knew this existed before, and super happy about it. Love Margot Price. If you don't know her, again, she is a phenomenal country musician. Traditional type country music, really good. So happy to have this, super excited, and really cool vinyl, third band pressing, and haven't listened to it yet, but it also came originally with a 7-inch single that was with it, and then also a DVD. So I got the DVD that came with it, but the 7-inch was not included, which is fine because the songs on the 7-inch actually have third band pressings of those 7 inches anyway. So super excited about this Margot Price. Next up, this is an interesting one. So this one was in an auction, and I'll show you the stuff I got from the auctions later as they will come up in one of my last pieces here. But this is a band that came out of the Allman Brothers, and this is called Sea Level. And the album is Cats on the Coast. So I don't know how familiar you are with Sea Level, but like I said, some of the members came out of the Allman Brothers band after Dwayne had passed, and they formed this band. And it's kind of like a southern rock with funk and jazz infusion. If you can imagine that, it's really good. Comes on the Capricorn label, and got this for cheap because the guy had a bunch of sealed copies that just had the notches. So got this basically brand new, sealed, and really enjoyed it. So if you haven't heard it, go check them out. Sea Level is the name of the band, and really fun music. All right, next up, a couple twofer I got here of some singles, 12-inch singles. I got New Kids on the Block, I'll Be Loving You Forever, with the actual 12-inch cover. Those harder to find these days. And then Please Don't Go Girl single. This one didn't have a face cover, but it does have the hype sticker here. Originally cost $6. I got it for less than that. But here you go. So picked up some New Kids on the Block singles. Thought that was kind of fun to throw in with that Phantom of the Opera album. All right, next up. I found a new obsession. Oh, actually, let's start with this first. This is another one I found. This is a music on vinyl. I bought this when I bought the Blackberry Smoke album that I showed earlier, Smoked. And this is an Allman Brothers brand new music on vinyl copy here. And this is 7 Turns. It was their first album in like 12 years, in 1990. Really good album. Music on Vinyl did a great job with this as well. And I picked that up during their Easter sale on the company Merch Mountain that does Blackberry Smoke and Allman Brothers albums. All right, so my new obsession. And this is going to cost me a fortune. I know it, but we'll see how far I go down this rabbit hole. But I found a auction that occurs on one of the pages I watch every Friday, and the guy specializes in Japanese pressings. He gets them from a local mom and pop shop in Japan that he's had a relationship with for years. So they kind of give him their inventory, and he buys up as much as he can at a time from them, has it shipped over here, and then he, sells them to people in America. And I've fallen down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and it started with this album right here. AC/DC for Those About to Rock. This is, like I said, Japanese pressing, Obi strip. I already have 2 copies of this, but I wanted the Japanese pressing, and I'm glad I did because it sounds absolutely amazing. Guitars sound better, bass sounds punchier, drums sound better, and I don't know why, but these Japanese pressings just are somehow superior. So this was my first one. I got this for a song. I got this for like $30, and this is an album that you typically will sell over $50 in the United States, especially if you have the Obi strip. And this one comes with, also it's got the, no, this one doesn't. It doesn't have any of the inserts, but it does have the Obi strip. So super lucky to have found this one, and that started a little bit of a downward spiral. And the next one I picked up was Michael Jackson's Bad. This gatefold, beautiful. Yeah, again, more punch, more bass, more drum, just a better sound quality than the American Press, which I have as well. So that one. And then I picked up Bruce Springsteen's Tunnel of Love. This is really the only Bruce Springsteen album I care about or like. And so I picked up Japanese pressing of Bruce Springsteen Tunnel of Love. And the last one I have to show this month is AC/DC's Fly on the Wall. So the rabbit hole I'm going down is collecting these AC/DC albums. I have original mix versions of AC/DC. I have the remaster versions of each AC/DC studio album, or trying to get all of them. And now it looks like I'm trying to get the Japanese pressings as well. And some of them are pretty expensive, but we'll see. So AC/DC Fly on the Wall. All right, let's close things down with Christmas. It's never too early to start buying Christmas albums, is it? No, I don't think so. First one I got, Jewel. This is called Joy, a Holiday Collection. Pick that up. Again, haven't spun these yet because it's not Christmas time, and I don't listen to a lot of Christmas music throughout the year, but really excited about it. And then I picked up Paul Gilbert's Twas album. Paul Gilbert, the guitarist for Mr. Big, and he's got a bunch of solo instrumental albums out now, and they're really good if you haven't heard them. But I decided to pick up his Christmas album because it has some really fun songs on here. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, Hark the Herald Angels Sing, all instrumental. So I'm so excited to hear this one come Christmas time. It might be one of the first ones that I put on in Christmas season. And there you have it. So a lot of stuff. I failed hard on my attempt to not buy as many albums this year. I think I made up for everything that I was hoping to buy next year. Whoops. Oh well. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and if you're new, hit that subscribe button. Love to have you along for the ride. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep spinning, vinyl friends.